there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, today we're talking love and marriage huntsville. Y'all know why y'all here. Anything I say is alleged and my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is ever personal. None of this is ever personal, you guys. And the Copyright Act of 1976 is in my description. So, in this particular video regarding love and marriage huntsville, we are going to be talking about an extended scene that dropped regarding Mel and Maurice. Mel is confronting Maurice at the party shindig that Trish and Ken are throwing for the oldest child that Trish has with Marquez is going away to college, and Mel, you know, had an opportunity to have a sit down with Maurice to confront him about his DUI and her displeasure and disappointment. And so we're going to get into the scene, and then I'm going to give my commentary, right? And so essentially Mel tells Maurice straight to his face, there's no talking behind his back. She is telling directly to his face everything that she has said. And she said that she has had conversations with some people in the friend group regarding Maurice, regarding what took place with the DUI, and that basically Mel felt it was irresponsible. She felt it was embarrassing. She felt it was disappointed, and she felt that essentially the response that Maurice had after getting arrested, after spending time in jail, and all the things, that the first thing he wants to do and get out is, you know, she felt it could have been more appropriate, more sensitive, more taken seriously. And she said basically it seemed like, you know, Maurice just wanted to go back to partying all the time and getting lit and getting wasted and popping bottles and all the things. And, you know, it's just like you had, you know, you're the one in this friend group who always made it seem like you were the one who was always the most level-headed, the one who was always the most responsible, who was always the most intelligent and all these things. Then Maurice then cuts Mel off for the first time and is like, well, you know, the one who makes the decisions and forms his opinions based off of information that he actually knows. And Mel is like, however, it's a personal thing for me too, because I lost my grandmother to a drunk driver, and once again people are ignoring Mel saying this. They don't care about Mel losing a relative to a drunk driver. They don't care about a DUI, you guys. I have never seen anything like this. It is the audacity. So nonetheless, Maurice cuts her off again and is like, hey, let me stop you right there. Do you know anything that actually happened that day? And Mel says, according to the report, unless the police report is false. And Maurice is like, okay, well, tell me what information you got. Gaslighting 101. So you want people to preemptively tell you what they know or what they think they know so that you can be in your lawyer, you know, reverse psychology of things to spin a narrative, right? And so Maurice is like, okay, tell me what information you got. And Mel's like, why don't you tell me the information you got? And so then it's like a back and forth. It's like, well, I know what you are, but what am I? I know what you are, but then what am I? And da 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 da. And so then Maurice is like, no, tell me what information you know. And then Mel's like, well, tell me what you know, because you were there. And so then, you know, no, you tell me what you know, Mel. And then Mel's like, why don't you tell me? And Maurice was like, well, yeah, I was the only one there. That's why I know you don't know any information. And Mel's like, there was not an officer there? And Maurice is like, no, there wasn't an officer there. Well, Maurice, how did you get arrested then? How did you get arrested, and how were you booked at the county for a DUI, Maurice? And why did you have to post bond, Maurice? Can we make it make sense? And if none of this happened, why did Funky Dineva have to give a statement on your behalf? That apparently there is nobody working overnight, you guys, at the police station, and that's why they entered in at noon the next day. Your arrest. Stop the madness. If none of this happened. And so then, you know, he says that there wasn't an officer there. Mel's like, you know, so how can Maurice cuts her off again? And then he starts raising his voice. It starts to escalate. And, you know, and he's like, you know, well, referring to the police officer, oh, he doesn't know what happened either.
And Mel's like, listen, your tone right now is getting very defensive. It's getting very loud and aggressive and all these things. And Maurice doesn't give a bleep. He's like, Maurice, you know what you did. You started this conversation and you told me everything that you think you know about the evidence of what happened, and you weren't there. And then it cuts over to a Maurice confessional that we did not ask for, and I'm going to break down as well, right? So he's like, in the confessional, he's like, well, I think Mel's speaking about things that she doesn't know anything about. However, in this moment, the good thing I'm finding out is Mel is almost, is also among all of the other things that she does. She's also omnipresent, is omniscient, and if she keeps working, she's going to wind up being a deity. So what that means, for those of you guys who don't know, omnipresent basically means is a person who is everywhere at all times. And I'm trying to figure out how this pertains to Mel, because you guys have tried to isolate Mel from the group for several seasons in favor of Martel in the divorce. So how could Mel be everywhere at all times when you guys were isolating her and using other people in the cast on and off the show to bully Mel off the show and attack Mel off the show in favor for Martel? So how could she be everywhere at all times when she wasn't even able to go to most of y'all events if Martel was there, or if Martel was trying to start drama? So how is she everywhere at all times? Obviously, Maurice, she wasn't there when you got arrested. She wasn't there when you were away from your wife after Jalen's party and you get arrested at noon the next day. Mel wasn't there when Kimmy is trying to confront you about what happened with the DUI arrest. Mel was not there when you were trying to convince Kimmy to let you use Kimmy's money, allegedly, to buy a home down the street for your ex-wife and her new husband, so she can be closer so you guys could co-parent. Mel was not there. Mel was not there for so many of these things. Mel was not there when you and Marceau were gassing up Martel and blaming the Melimeters and Mel supporters for Martel getting arrested for revenge P in the third-degree DV harassing communication. So what do you mean Mel is everywhere at all times? What are we talking about? Mel wasn't at the field day, the Dollar Tree field day you guys had in the previous episode. So how is Mel omnipresent and she's everywhere at all times, but she really isn't? She really isn't. And you guys talk about her anyways. She's telling you directly to your face, what's up, and you guys are running scared. And so then he calls her omniscient, which means essentially that, omnipresent is you're everywhere at all times. Omniscient means basically you know it all, you've seen it all, you've got all the answers and all the things. Nobody can tell you anything. Nobody can tell you anything wrong. And I think this is a projection, Maurice, because this is exactly how you move. This is exactly who you are, Maurice Luther King Jr. This is who you are. You know it all. You have all the answers. You've been a lawyer for 2.5 seconds and you know everything inside and out. And you know how you're going to spin every single thing. Can you make it make sense? What do you mean? Mel's not saying she knew everything. She's giving you an opportunity to fill in any blanks or filling in any gaps. But instead of you answering her questions, you respond with a question trying to gaslight her, trying to insult her, and trying to diminish whatever you think that she knows, which is following what the police report said, following what the booking information said on the Madison County website for the inmates that were currently sitting in jail, and you're trying to sit there and play in her face as if she is just making up stories and fairy tales and lies for entertainment purposes. No. This liar nonsense that you've got going on isn't becoming. It's not becoming in this scene, Maurice. It isn't. And your facial expressions and how you're raising your voice like this in a woman was not okay. It was not okay at all. So nonetheless, the other piece where Maurice says that if Mel keeps working like this, she's going to wind up being a deity. So that's like a Greek terminology. It's basically referencing somebody who considers themselves a god or a godlike figure. And here this goes again, right? Here this goes again about the people who are anti-Mel, who make the alleged cult allegations, who make the, people who support Mel or like Mel, they're a part of this group that have secret meetings that tell each other what to do, that tell each other what to say, that tell each other, who to go after, and da-da-da-da-da. This is all the same talking points that you guys all say on all of your platforms and in these Facebook groups and on all of these other social media places that everybody in the cast lurks. That now all of a sudden, Mel's a god. Mel is a god, and people are worshiping Mel. People are praying to Mel. People are doing things on behalf of Mel, their leader. Make it make sense, Maurice. Do you know how unhinged that sounds? And it's another way of making a reference to the Melimeters and the Mel supporters without directly saying it, because obviously by this point in time, the lawsuit that's involving you and the content creators and Owen and whoever else at the time, is now active. Is now active and ongoing. And since you can't outright say that, you're going to try to manipulate this DUI situation into basically your projection of it all, right? You're pissed off because you thought that you could make examples out of YouTubers that you felt, I guess, were not in your favor, or you wanted to allege that, went too far or said something that you didn't like, and wanted to present this lawsuit as a storyline for the show, except for when the countersuit happened and then Own got involved in the countersuit, right? And so now all of a sudden it's this huge projection because you can't say the things you really want to say, but now you're trying to play in people's face and make it seem like that the DUI arrest is a figment of the imagination, right? And we can fast forward because obviously I don't know whether or not it's going to be addressed in the reunion at this point, because I believe by the time the case got dismissed, I think the reunion was already taped. But nonetheless, the people who were bragging about that, here's the thing, right? There are plenty of people who've gotten DUIs who've gotten off, right? Especially if it's their first offense, right? And it sounds like even with this, it was based off of technicality, that something was not followed in a proper procedure or what have you, and that's the real reason it got dismissed. It wasn't because Maurice was not under the influence of sorts, you guys. Still, ultimately, he was under the influence. He was driving erratic. All of that information is in the police report, and all that Lambo that he likes to stunt for in the gram, and now he wants to stunt on a Cadillac Escalade and everything else, that is not what was named in the paperwork, you guys. What was named in the paperwork was an old Audi that he was pulled over in, right? So nonetheless, the smoke and mirrors, the lies, the games, the semantics of it all, like we gotta stop, we gotta keep it a buck, and this is why I keep saying most of this cast is not ready for prime time. This is why y'all are not getting nominated for awards. Because you guys, when it's time for you guys to clock in, when it is time for you guys to spray your own tea, to defend your own selves, you say a whole bunch of nothing and you gaslight the other person and try to insult and intimidate the other person to stand down versus owning your crap. What is wrong with saying, you know what, I bleeped up, you know what, I shouldn't have been drinking and driving, you know what, I should have called a taxi, I should have called an Uber, I should have called a Lyft, I should have went home with my wife at the appropriate hour, I shouldn't have been out here in these streets, I shouldn't have been overnight somewhere I probably was not allegedly supposed to be at, to the point that I'm still under the influence of something, that I am driving erratic at the crack of noon the next day and getting pulled over and having to sit in a jail cell. Make it make sense. But leave it to you. You want the people to believe that you just happened to be arrested the night before and you were only they couldn't data entry. There was nobody working overnight. Are you kidding me? There's always people working at the police station because there's always people who are breaking the law 24/7. like make it make sense. Make it make sense. The hospitals and the police stations are always going to be open because there's always going to be something. There's always going to be people who are always going to need medical attention. There's always something that's going to be going down 24/7, just like the case with the law and for people who like to break it, Maurice. So wouldn't you know that as somebody who is a lawyer, right? And has all of the answers and knows all of the legal jargon and all that stuff to say, wouldn't you know that information as well? It's just giving weird. And again, like I said, y'all should be thanking Mel for giving y'all a storyline, for giving you guys something to talk about instead of you guys being the furniture that you were blending into this entirety of this season thus far, giving sideline commentary to Moses and Sunny and giving sideline commentary about Trish and Ken that nobody cared about. And then when Martel, explodes on y'all, you, Maurice, instead of defending your brother and trying to do something, you sit there and tell Kimmy to shush and to shut it up, and you go to check in on Martel. And you're still telling the people that this is just a brother squabble. Meanwhile, Marceau and Kimmy and Tisha want nothing to do with Martel anymore. And then you have the audacity, when you were on Mr. Mondays a couple of weeks ago, to further gaslight the people and say essentially that Marceau misspoke. Marceau misspoke about the revenge pee. What? What do you mean Marceau misspoke? So you hate Mel that much? You hate this alleged lawsuit that much that you're just going to defend anything and everything Martel says and does? And this is where I cannot get behind the shenanigans of it all. Here's the thing, like or dislike of somebody, right is right and wrong is wrong. And what we're not going to do is defend somebody who has been completely out of order and was willing to release revenge pee of his ex-wife out of revenge because he was pissed that he was the only guy out of the friend group, out of the cheating men group that got caught. And can somebody explain to me why y'all decided to get vasectomies the moment it was announced that Martel's side chick was prego with Martel's baby? Why did y'all get vasectomies? If you like, can you make it make sense? Because if one of you is married to somebody who is not going to be, having any more kids anytime soon, and then you're married to somebody else who, for all intents and purposes, didn't want any more kids, as far as we knew, why would you need vasectomies unless you are allegedly messing with somebody who is eligible to get pregnant? Make it make sense. But y'all want to play in our faces, right? And y'all sat there and giggled when Martel's side chick went on Tasha K and said that y'all allegedly cheated with linebackers. Y'all thought that was funny and that was jokes. And that could have just, if it did happen, it happened years ago, or happened before you guys were married, or happened before things were really serious and official and da-da-da-da-da. Y'all think everything is a joke if it comes from Martel, if it comes from his side chick. But if it comes from Mel, all of a sudden, Mel is the worst person in the world. Mel needs to pipe down. Mel needs to slow her roll. Mel doesn't know what she's talking about. But y'all never vet any of the crap Martel ever says. Y'all never sat there and validated whether the things Martel was saying about Mel was ever true. Y'all just decided to take his side because you were scared of what tea Martel was going to spray on y'all, and y'all didn't want that smoke, so y'all just went with it. And now y'all have the audacity to sit here in Mel's face and try to play her and try to insult her and try to drag her. No. Keep the same energy. Thank Mel and Tel for the checks that y'all have been receiving for these past 9 seasons, because you guys have decided to mail in your own storylines. Y'all have decided to hide behind all of Mel and Tel's drama and take sides, and now finally a spotlight is on you and y'all can't handle it. Y'all are not ready for primetime, and I'm going to keep saying it. You're not ready for primetime. Y'all can't handle it. Say what you want about Mel and Tel's dysfunction, but at least they came up to show up and clock in at least. Even if it was trifling, even if it was disgusting, even if Martel was out of order on how he was speaking to the mother of his kids, how he was speaking to his soon-to-be ex-wife, how he was speaking in front of the group, in front of all of y'all, that y'all sat there and said and did absolutely nothing and continued to call Martel a good man, at least they clocked in for the show. Y'all still don't want to clock it. But now all of a sudden, you guys want to make Mel to seem like this monster and make Mel seem like this horrible person, but you guys had no problem believing every single lie and every single piece of slander and defamatory comments that Martel made about his ex-wife, because you guys wanted to believe it. You guys wanted to believe that Mel was so horrible and excuse all of Martel's nonsense, and enough is enough. But it's the audacity for me. It is the audacity for me to just sit here once again, and you did the same thing, like I said on Mr. Mondays a couple weeks ago, where you refused to answer Carlos King's questions and then presented him with questions and started asking him questions about his personal life, which had nothing to do with the questions he was asking you about the DUI. So there's that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.